All right. Well, welcome everybody. As you're starting to come in, I'm gonna wait a couple more seconds for your audio to kick in, and that hopefully you can hear me and see me. It's an awesome day today. So welcome everybody. As you're starting to come in, I'm looking at the people starting to come in now. This is awesome. Hey, if you're just coming on board and you can hear me, if you don't mind putting in the chat where you're from, we will just so that way I know that at least you can hear me. See, like Valerie saying from Tennessee. Hey, thank you. Now I know that y'all can hear me. Hey, so we got Brooklyn, New York in the house. Hey, Renee. So if you don't mind just putting in the chat where you're from, that lets me know that you can hear me. And by the way, you get to exercise that you get to ask questions. This is a live event. It's an awesome property tour we have in store for you today. It's a live event, and because it's live, if you don't mind staying muted, that would be really great. So that way we can hear from the investors who's taking their time out of their day to share with us some of the things that they're actually doing right now. So it's a live event. So sometimes the audio may come in and out, but you get to ask a question in the chat. So we'll look at the chat so that way we can, get the questions that you have that's out there. That would be really awesome. So welcome from folks coming from Chicago, Alabama, Delaware. We got Washington, D.C. in the house, Waldorf, Maryland, Seattle, Washington, Houston. Hey, somebody's actually overseas, but currently in the United States, out of Pakistan. Hey, welcome. Hey, New York is in the house. And then, of course, not just New York, you got Queens, New York, right? Since I said Brooklyn, right? So Queens got to show up too. Awesome. Couple of people from Queens. So welcome. So it sounds like we went all the way from the East Coast, all from the West Coast. I'm actually in the Northern Virginia area. And then my co-host, the one who really, the host of this, who allows me to participate, Scott Buckles, he's actually out of Cincinnati. So he's also here too. So he's gonna be in and out. He has multiple things that he got going on, just like our investors. We got a lot of things going on, but we're taking the time out today to share with you some really good stuff. So today it's going to be a really packful. We're going to start at the top of the hour. We're going to hit it hard because our investors not only are sharing with us online, but you may see some people in their video who's actually on the property site kind of doing the same thing. So it's going to be really awesome as they get this share. So again, live event, put your questions in the chat. Then if you don't mind, please don't solicit it. If you have other things, that's great that you're doing it, but this is not really the time for it. And we don't want to get that confused with all the questions that's being in there. So we're going to look at that. So we really appreciate that. So again, welcome from everybody that's coming in. If you haven't put in where you're from, that would be really awesome. And that would be really great. So again, another person from New York. Hey, so we're going to get started here in about 3 seconds. And 1, 2, 3, and here we go. So hey, again, welcome. This is going to be really awesome. My name is Keith Jones. Got Scott Buckles, who's also with me today. I appreciate you, Scott, for putting this together because we get to hear from our featured investors who is out there doing real estate investing in today's time. Like they are right now doing real estate investing, not used to, but right now. So, because some people are probably trying to figure out, should they do real estate investing? Is this really for me? Or I'm doing it, but I want to take my game to the next level. And you want to plug in with a community like this who's sharing information, we're learning and we're growing together. And so today we have Anna and Roy, or should she, Anna and Roy. This is going to be here today, and they are awesome power couple who's doing real estate together. And I'm not going to take up too much time. You can see their picture there. I'm going to want to ask if y'all can come on out. If Scott, if you don't mind, come out first because I know how you really know this couple. You've been with them for some time.
Yeah,
You don't mind coming out and kind of sharing and kind of kicking us off. You don't mind?
you betcha. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I'm going to see if I can get your video there too.
You got me?
I got you.
Oh my gosh, what we have, I'm so excited for today's tour. And yes, I do know this couple very well. They're very close friends of ours. But this is just a very exciting tour. And for folks who have taken their hour out today to be a part of this, you guys are in store for a great property tour. These guys, they have done so many different things. I love their short-term rentals, long-term rentals, fix and flip. They have a resort. Okay. They've done wholesaling deals. They've been involved in a lot of different strategies in real estate and been successful at it. And today they're taking time out to share with you their current deal that they're doing. And so I'm so excited. Roy, Anna, thank you for taking time out, coming out and sharing some wisdom and giving back to the community. And for everybody that's on today, absolutely, if you have some questions throughout the tour, please type in the chat room what those might be. We'll get to those, and we'll handle those things as we can. We are going to wrap up before the top of the hour, so we want to respect everybody's time and give a few minutes at the end for Roy and Anna to kind of leave final remarks. But Anna, Roy, come on out.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Great to be back on here, and thank you guys for hosting these events because they made a difference in our lives. And we still learn whenever we show up here. So there is no end to learning. So I hope you guys can hear us and see us clearly.
So yes,
Perfect.
yep. And we're going to stop sharing the other screen real quick, but we can see you.
Perfect. Yeah, so my name is Roy, and my wife Anna sitting right by me because it's a little noisy. Guys are working on the inside of the house, and in this area we have the airport, so like flights going overhead. So we decided to sit in the car and just host this property tour, and at some point take you into the house. So Roy's my name, Anna my wife. We've been a part of this community for 5 years, coming on 6. And it's been an amazing adventure. We call it an adventure. So my background was journalism and film. I worked for a nonprofit. We made documentary films to help raise children in Africa who were either orphans or child soldiers, and then vulnerable women. That was my background. And so I came to the US in 2012, and my parents were business owners, and that is where I got a desire to get into real estate. But I didn't have the mentorship or anybody willing to show me the ropes. And so it was pretty much just trying to figure it out on your own. And then when I came to the US, I was like, oh, I got to start learning this in the US. But everyone would tell me, well, get your license, become a realtor. I didn't know that there was a difference between being a realtor and being a real estate investor. Fast forward, when we got married, my wife Anna is a professor at the U of M. She was just actually completing her PhD. And when we got married, and so then one of the rude awakenings we had was, okay, how long are we going to work for us to get a good, secure retirement? And it turned out to be that we needed to work well into our 60s or beyond to retire comfortably. We're like, well, we got to figure out a different way. And that's how we started a film business, and that led us into this community. Actually, we were hired to film an event hosted by this community, and we heard what they said, and it made sense to us. And we started learning the real estate, and we started doing deals, taking action. The rest is history. As Scott mentioned, we've done fix and flips, we've done wholesaling, we own commercial, a resort, and it's exciting to just keep growing and just keep scaling. Anna, you want to say something to that?
Yeah. No, she's saying you said it all. You did, right, and that's really awesome, right? And I appreciate y'all, sharing, your story, because everybody has a different background when it comes to how they got started, why they got started. And so, just out of curiosity, because you've done so many, different types of deals, what's your favorite? Just want to.
My favorite is just collecting properties, assets that can pay for the things we want to enjoy in life. So I think our investor ID is really holding properties and doing more vacation rentals, short-term rental. That's my favorite. I get to make them look beautiful, but we know like just collecting these assets definitely funds our lifestyle, and it's part of our retirement portfolio.
Yeah, that's really awesome, because some people today are probably thinking about doing that. But what was one of the major hurdles that you had to go over to really take action? Because people hear about it and they see it, but what was the thing that y'all had to get over to actually take action, where some people are probably on that fence also today?
Yeah, so I think the community, there's courses and masterminds. And so obviously plugging into knowledge and people who are really doing it. The biggest hurdle for me, for Roy, was probably finding reliable, trustworthy information. For me, it was definitely mindset. Shifting from a scarcity mindset to the abundance mindset, where, not it's finding solutions versus this is a problem. And so my money mindset, realizing there's actually like trillions of dollars like that people want to lend, and that I don't have to have my own money. So just getting over fears. And so being around people who are doing this, have done what we want to do, has helped me really shift my mindset.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think me being an immigrant, I appreciated learning how stuff works in this country. And it turns out even people who are born and raised here, it's still something you need to learn, right? So one of the things we had to overcome is the fact that, well, we actually have to buy stuff or we can figure it out on our own. Because I'd attended a bunch of webinars and all kinds of podcasts, it was very refreshing and reassuring. And I felt more secure to have a community that had people that were training these classes that have been doing it for ages, 30, 40 years. So I felt secure, and it's really been a blessing to us. Because my wife is coming from an education background. She was like, researcher, I can figure it out. But then she quickly realized, nope, a whole different beast. So those are some of the things we've had to overcome.
It would have taken me decades to learn what we've learned in 5 years.
Yeah.
So.
And also the other thing is, people don't realize this when they see what we have right now, that we started out with less than $1,000 in our bank account. Because sometimes people have this whole thing of, I don't have a bunch of money. I talk to a lot of people all the time. They're like, I don't have a bunch of money, so I can't invest. Well, the good news is we started out with less than $1,000 in our bank account. And most of our deals actually have been funded by other people's money. So that was something else we had to overcome. The fact that you needed a bunch of money or your own money to start investing in real estate.
No, I agree. Man, y'all dropped some nuggets. As a matter of fact, if the people who are watching today, just put in the chat what's holding you back. And just to see that, you're not by yourself when it comes to really getting started. But the difference I'm hearing from y'all is, one, you identified, you knew where you were. Two, you knew what was holding you back. And then three, you seeked for something that would help conquer those fears. And then not only that, you took action. And so speaking of action, you're at a property right now. Can you tell us about this property, how you found it, kind of set the tone for this one that you're going to showcase today?
Yeah, so this is the first deal we've done since we purchased our resort, that we're going to hold. We've done wholesaling in between, but this deal came to us through the community. A fellow community member who is just getting started found this deal. It was actually on the MLS, but it had been sitting on the market, and they had dropped the price well over $50K. So the owner was actually an older woman who had to move to a nursing home, I believe, and it was sitting on the market, and he put a really, really, really low ball offer in, like probably, I don't know, a good $70K under what they were asking, and they said no. But they did reveal to him their bottom line number they were willing to take and for an offer. In the meantime, he got contractors out here and started getting bids, and he wanted help analyzing the deal. And we walked the property virtually and told him, like, you're actually looking at probably double that for bringing this distressed property up to what it needs to be. And so he did not want to take on the deal just because he's beginning. But we were able to pay him a finder's fee. So we bought it off the market, well under market value. So that was 2 months ago, yesterday. So
Wow. Oh, somebody was ahead of y'all, wasn't able to really tackle it, but y'all was able to educate them as quickly as possible, but you also helped them by providing a finder's fee.
absolutely, yeah. Like we wanted to reward him for bringing the deal, but also just, um, set him up
Success.
for success. So
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of this community, and people are different, but for the most part, our culture is helping each other, right? Lifting somebody else and being honest with people. Because I was like, okay, are you comfortable doing a flip? Those are the conversations we had with him. Do you have the money to fund it? And so we gave him the options. Well, you could do A, B, C, D. You could wholesale this, or we could pay you a finder's fee and take it on. We haven't committed yet. We need to look at it first. Right. So you chose, or you could take it on and hope that it works. And I'm like, if I were in your shoes, I would not do this deal because I'm not ready. Because from what you're telling me, you don't have the right resources. And so he decided, you know what, I want you guys to take this on. You've been helpful. You're guiding me, and I appreciate your help. And I would also want to learn from it. And so that is how this all came together.
yeah. So this property is a major rehab. It's not like just cosmetic. We've done everything from a new roof, including replacing all the decking on the roof, dealing with water issues. We put a whole drain tile system in and regrading most of the land. All new mechanicals, all new plumbing throughout the house, pulling knob and tube wiring out of the house. So definitely not the type of deal for first deal while you're still learning. So
Well, that, and I'm glad you shared that because a lot of people put in the chat, like they talked about, what's holding them back, procrastination, fear, the funding, family and friends not, participating in it, just having enough, down payment or understanding the renovation, holding. So there's a lot of things I know y'all going to talk about as you kind of walk through. So everybody who's listening, just kind of listen as they kind of share, their story about this. So this property, if you don't mind, tell us where it is and like how many bedrooms and baths, and then you can start sharing pictures if you want to show us like the before.
So we are in Minneapolis, and the block we're at, we're actually surrounded by two other cities that are considered suburbs. So we're in a higher end neighborhood in Minneapolis, Minnesota. To put it in context, like the block behind us and in front of us, most of the houses are $1 million homes. We're like 10 minutes from the airport. So, and we are half a mile from, in Minneapolis, there's a chain of lakes. We're about a half a mile walk from those lakes. It's about a 2,000 square foot house. It has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms.
Awesome. Okay. So again, okay, if there's people you have questions, go ahead and put it in the chat. A lot of people talk about, getting approved for financing, constructions, and just really learning. And that's probably like one of the things that they're trying to figure out. So if you want to learn like how to learn, there is a meeting like right after this. I just want to share this real quick. There's a meeting right after this that you can plug in, and if just ask the person who invited you to this meeting, and then they would actually connect you to that next meeting. It's a different Zoom link. So you want to go ahead and reach out to them now for that. So we're going to go ahead and show that picture right there.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can get your photo. Okay. So this is before, and then we'll walk where we're at now. So this is a classic Minneapolis house, stucco. Um, Under this sidewalk runs the sewer, which happened to be cracked. So we addressed that. Um, this is the living room. And one thing we noticed right away when we were walking the home, for being 100+ years old, it has a solid foundation. You've probably heard the marble test. If you can put a marble on the floor, which way does it run? You don't want it running one way. You want the house to be level. So it had very good bones. This kitchen, small and needed cosmetic updates. But what we quickly learned too is most of the plumbing and electric is just way too old, not vented properly. The switches look normal, but this house is actually full of knob and tube wiring. Right here, so the kitchen, then there's this like partition. They were actually calling, if you see the fridge, then there's that wall. They were calling that room in there a bedroom. But you'll see we actually opened it up because the windows were running behind that partition. So we took that out and we're adding a bedroom that's legit. So you'll see that when we walk through. There's 2 bedrooms upstairs. Not a lot to say about those bedrooms other than the windows were super old. So that's 1 bedroom and then a 2nd bedroom. Here's the bathroom upstairs. Again, really low water pressure and improperly venting the water and waste. So this was the bathroom in the basement. All of the plumbing was essentially incorrect. So you could walk this and kind of as a newbie, you might like, oh, looks pretty good. We can fix this cosmetically. But once you start digging, there's a lot more. So one of the things we started learning before we did our first deal is how do you recognize those red flags? How do you walk a property? How do you build a team and get contractors through who can give you an accurate bid? Because at the end of the day, we buy numbers, right? It's all about the numbers. So this is the family room in the basement. We were super curious, what's behind all that paneling? And so you'll see we answered that question, and we actually took the paneling off. There was plywood on the floor here. And it was a step up from the rest of the basement. So right away, Roy is very good at walking properties and identifying those red flags. And one of those questions is what's under the plywood? So when we analyzed the property, we built in a lot of cushion. We've done a few of these houses that are 100+ years, and we do know, like, build a lot of cushion and then expect to do even more. Especially when you're holding, a property and or selling it to a family, you want to make sure you're not covering up mold, you're not do things properly. So front of the house, this is the backyard. And then I think that's pretty good. Let me go back. So here you can see right here that we closed August 16th, sold on the market, and it's closed for 5 is what we bought it for. So I'm gonna stop my screen share. Keith, any questions we should answer right now, or
There's
should
a
we
couple
walk?
that came in. So one was like when you talked about walking through the house and potential to be, what are the things that you check? You mentioned it, like the foundation, but did y'all check like the water pressure? Did you flush the toilet? It sounds like somebody was kind of like, what is it like? What's your process? I know we learned the process, right? But some people try to figure out like what some of the things that y'all do.
Yeah, exactly. We learn the process. Like I've taken an inspection class, part of our curriculum, which really literally tells you to look out for things inspectors look out for, right? Yes, do we hire inspectors? Yes, we do sometimes. But anyway, things like water pressure, mechanicals, what condition, how old are they? Are they running efficiently? Things like the roof, what's the status of the roof? Are there leaks in the house? What's causing those leaks? Where are those leaks coming from? And then things like the bones, you hear people talk about bones, good bones. And I mentioned the foundation and things like mold, so mechanicals, electric, has the electric been updated? How big is the panel? Is it conforming? And Anna mentioned, obviously, that bathroom in the basement, somebody can get excited about that, but well, it's not up to code, right? So things, you look out for those things that actually you realize, well, this is really not up to code. But when you hang out with contractors and you get to learn what's code, what's not code. And maybe if I touch this, I'm going to have to bring everything up to code, things like that. So you want to make sure that you know what you're doing, because it can end up getting very costly when you essentially just, you don't pay attention to the things you should pay attention to. So mechanicals and then the structure, those are very, very important things to pay attention to.
We don't always get a formal inspection. It depends on our exit strategy. But if we're going to hold a property, we usually do a sewer scope. Because, those big ticket items that obviously you have to put a scope in the sewer to see. And like this house, there was part of the sewer line had settled. It was clay. So we're able to address that now versus when you finish and then you have to tear everything up again.
Yeah, because some people may ask, like, when you was walking through as an investor, you look at things a little bit differently, because when you start to, when did your process start? When you start to analyze the numbers, you start analyzing properties when you look at it on pictures and when you walk up? Because I think a lot of people are when they ask those questions, they're looking for somebody else to come in first to give them all the answers before they put in the deal. Whereas y'all had learned how to do it. So when you walk on a property, you already walking through, like you said, knobs and tubes, right? So as soon as you said knobs and tubes, like you already know that has to come up to code. At the same time, now you're looking at all electrical to make sure they have washing machines and dryers and stuff like that, so they can handle the new appliances that we have in there today.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, for us, like, we like to know a neighborhood. So we also know this type of house. So I think when you focus and learn, like, we're much faster. We made an offer on this house without ever seeing it in person. We did a video tour, made our offer, and then once our offer was accepted, that's when we start doing our due diligence of, okay, are the numbers what we thought they were going to be when we were just looking on Google? Does it line up, and do we still want to keep the deal, or do we use one of our contingencies to get out?
That's awesome. So speed. So y'all have a process, and we all kind of learn that process, and that's really awesome. So I know people like really eager to see the property, and so because some people
can I jump in real quick?
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, Roy and Anna. So just kind of give the guys some ideas, a couple of your contingencies you write in your contract.
So the seller made it very clear it was as is. So we couldn't use one of our favorite contingencies, which is contingent on inspection. But we usually use a contingency related to financing. And that, so the specific language, like even having our lawyer review that to make sure it sticks in Minnesota, but that the numbers line up basically.
Mostly inspection and financing, satisfactory to us. Those are some of the contingencies we use for the most part. Then, I mean, with this deal, we knew that, okay, even if we got stuck with it, we had an option even to wholesale it, right? So that is something you need to have at the back of your mind. It's not like, oh, I only have this one trick that I'm going to use on this deal. Just knowing I'm getting into this, what are my multiple exit strategies? So
Yeah.
we had those backup plans to follow back.
Yeah,
that
and
reminds me- I mean, we had the property under contract and we were still deciding what we wanted to do with it. And it wasn't until we had a lot of contractors come through, we decided we are going to hold this. We're not flipping it. We don't love the numbers as much for a flip and so forth.
yeah, so real quickly on that inspection thing, you're right. I bought several properties as is. The seller wants to keep it as is, but typically you can talk to the seller and basically, say, hey, I still got to do an inspection. I'm not going to come back and ask you for money or anything like that, but I have to do an inspection. You need to give me 7 days or whatever to do that. And I'm not going to come back and lower the price, but I need to know, and I've never
Yeah.
had one person ever tell me, no, you can't do an inspection.
Yeah,
And
which
that's
It's on
actually
my
what we
dime.
did.
It's on
It
my
was
dime.
pass fail. Like, right, we had to make it clear the inspection was pass fail, but we wanted a week. The seller only gave us 3 days, so we had to act pretty fast.
yeah, and obviously there is also a strategy whereby you've done an inspection and things show up on the inspection, and even though they say as is, now they have to disclose them, and so that could still open up room for negotiation, right? So yeah, there's always room for negotiations, really.
Awesome. So somebody asked a question. They may have came in a little bit later, but it says, did you use a local realtor or did you put in an offer on your own?
We did use a local realtor because it was on the market, and so they were going to pay somebody. So there's a friend of ours, member of a community that we've used quite a few times, and so we're like, hey, go take a look for us. Let's do a video walkthrough, and so they paid her commission, so no loss to us anyway. So yeah, we did use a local realtor in our community.
Yeah, our business model, like we probably acquire a property one per year, you think? Like last year was the resort, so we're not doing a high volume. Now, if we were flipping multiple houses a year, we would probably get our license and do that ourselves. We have bought properties on the market without a realtor. So, but this was easy. The realtor is a part of the community. She was boots on the ground for us since we weren't able to be present before our offer was accepted. So
Awesome. So I know we're going to transition into the property, but you also dropped a couple of more some gems about your network using the community to help, because a lot of people keep talking about fears, but y'all are around a system that people are helping each other moving forward. So thank you for sharing that.
yeah, systems are awesome, right? And a lot of the systems we use, we did not make up. We borrow them from someone else and then we tweak it for our business. So, yeah.
And I really like how, as y'all was sharing your story, how, the things that y'all are doing, fit in your lifestyle when it comes to, the real estate investing. So it's fitting your style. You're using the community, the system that's out there. And then things like this, you get to show people you actually doing this. So you validate exactly what y'all talked about. So, y'all what we call real people, right? So
Right. Okay. So Roy, do you want to share what we have going on here?
So as you can see, the ground is all tore up because we needed to get to that sewer. Yeah, those are the things. One of our friends, Ken, likes to say, it's not for the faint of heart. So
can you turn your phone sideways?
Sideways. Oh yeah.
There we go. Awesome.
So we are also getting ready to pour concrete. We already repaired the sewer. So we're also getting ready to pour the steep footing for the steps. For the steps, yeah. So yeah, then some landscaping. Obviously, the one other thing, those of you who own houses or you who are working on projects, is best practice is you want to make sure that the water is flowing away from the house. So you want to grade. So that's another thing we're doing. The guy who was helping us repair the sewer, who helped us repair the sewer, is also doing some grading for us. So he tore out all the plants here. We had a bunch of the trees growing right next to the foundation. Those are things you want to take care of. So we had those torn out, and then we're going to be grading the house so that the water flows away from the house. So very important.
The driveway was all sloping into the basement here. So here's the basement. All the mold in the basement was coming from the grading issues. So, okay, want to walk us around? Yeah. So you can see these windows are fairly old here. So those will get replaced.
Okay, so obviously we can access the house through the front because that's been dug out. But we'll take you through the back side of the house. A lot of debris we'll have to deal with after the grading has happened.
So we replaced all the mechanicals and added central air. And then the house was painted. We actually did a swap with someone in the community. We do a little money lending here and there and had loaned him money, and instead of interest, he painted the house.
So this, actually, one thing we didn't mention is the cement. The floor in the basement was so broken and uneven and beat up, so we had to redo all of that.
So let me just walk through what we are in the basement. And essentially, once we took that plywood out, there was nothing too scary under the plywood, but what we did notice is the concrete was only about a ½ inch thick. And a lot of the floor was sloping. So our amazing crew was able to break all that up, dug it slightly deeper, repoured the entire basement floor. Here you can see we added a sump pump. So since we broke the floor up, it was an easy time to add drain tile. You really care about where you are relative to the water table. And the water table is kind of higher where we are. So drain tile is a great way to protect our investment. If you're going to finish a basement, right, we want to protect that investment. This is the laundry room. So we've added, this is a closet for the bedroom. This was added. This was our sheetrock is going up. When do you do sheetrock? It's after you pass your rough-in inspections for plumbing, electrical, and then a framing inspection. So we have passed all those rough-in and the framing inspection. So now we are sheetrocking. We're able to keep the original electrical panel, adding some new breakers. And then we've done glass block windows. We like these for our short-term rentals and long-term rentals. They're much more secure than the other windows that were here. We went with a high efficiency furnace. Kind of left everything where it was. We thought about moving all our mechanicals in this other room, but the gain for the cost was not worth it. So this is a short-term rental, or will be. And so we always like to have a space to lock up our, so this will actually be where we have all our linens, etc. I think we should do a property tour in a couple months once we have it furnished, and you can see, you can talk more about short-term rentals.
Oh, that would be
So
awesome.
we reconfigured the basement. Can you hear us?
Yes, that would be awesome.
Let me turn the Wi-Fi on too. Oh, it is on. Okay. So this was the bedroom. Angel. You can come through.
Thanks.
So this was a bedroom. This is that room where there was paneling on the window, on the walls. All that paneling came through. We did a little bit of work adding, just some new plaster cement, right, to the walls.
Go ahead.
There was, the foundation looked good, but there were some areas that potentially could have had problems if we didn't address it. So we did do that. So this will be a living room. We are leaving the ceiling open. We're gonna paint it, just so we don't lose height, and to save some money, it won't affect what we charge as a short-term rental. We were able to get a good sized bedroom in here. The egress and the closet makes it a legal bedroom, and much better than the bedroom that was up in the sunroom. So this will be large enough to add a king size bed in here. So let's walk upstairs. Or the bathroom.
No light.
No light in the
Yeah,
bathroom. Here, let me see if I can shoot. This is that bathroom. So we've got a shower with proper drainage now. All the plumbing is behind here. Shelves. All new plumbing. Mold resistant sheetrock. We've done a lot to get water out of this basement. Sorry.
It's a construction zone. So
we'll start here. So this is the living room. It's a really good size, and then dining room. This was all wallpaper, so that's all been removed. They'll do some skim coating on the walls.
Turn the light off.
What's it? Oh, it's question. The windows will be replaced in a couple weeks. Trying to think anything else here. Do you want to turn that way? So that's the dining room. So you come in the front of the house, you have your living room, dining room, and then it goes into the kitchen. In my ideal world, as like from a design standpoint, we would have relocated the kitchen. My initial plan was to knock this wall out, put a nice galley kitchen, and then the dining room. But because of the city we're in, the inspectors are pretty tough. It would have opened a can of worms that we weren't willing to take on. And so we're just keeping the kitchen where it is, especially since like knowing our numbers, yeah, whether you're flipping a house or holding it, you have to know what your target after repair value is and what your plan is, and make your decisions based on the numbers versus what's going to be like my dream kitchen. So
yeah. So then the sunroom.
Yeah. So that partition is now gone.
You're fine. It's okay. You're good. Keep working. You're fine. Thank you.
So we'll come back when this is finished. Cabinets will go in next week. But basically, this will be all cabinets. This is gonna have a wood beam, kind of decorative. This will be all tile with a gas stove. So this will be sink, dishwasher, and then there were windows here. This will be where the fridge goes. And then you can see the sunroom here.
Sunroom. There's a lot of debris, but yeah, that's what you get when you're fixing up houses. So the other thing too is we relocated the sink because it was on this wall, along this wall.
Not vented properly.
So we moved it to the opposite wall, and that is also giving us more counter space. And
so you can see it here now, it's vented properly.
Yeah, those are all the things that you don't realize. And then obviously bring the trades in and they'll tell you, hey, you got to update this and that. So, yeah.
Cool. We'll let you finish getting the window in. Sorry.
But you know what?
Okay.
That's really awesome that y'all, you're sharing that, because you ran your numbers based on what you knew of the area. You also, as you had learned, to prepare for different things that may have to be up to code in the
Yes.
area. And so one question did come through, and they was asking about, are you going to rent this out the whole house, or were you going to rent like out the rooms?
We are renting the whole house. Our model is to rent out the whole house, vacation rentals. So when you rent rooms, we know people who do that, but it comes with its own challenges in terms of, how you manage all your guests. It is a different model. So the beauty about this business is you decide which model works best for you.
The really cool thing about this neighborhood for a short-term rental, like it's one of the highest demand areas in Minnesota because we're by the lakes and we're by the airport. If you go 2 blocks up that way, it's a different city, which is a very high-end suburb of Minnesota, but they don't allow short-term rentals. If you go a few blocks that way, it's another higher-end suburb. They don't allow short-term rentals. We're in Minneapolis, they allow you one. Mm-hmm. And so we feel like this is a good one to have.
Yeah.
So the only thing really left in here is obviously painting. We've covered up the floor. The hardwood is beautiful. There's only one room that will need refinishing. The main thing left here is we have some electrical. This is some knob and tube remaining. Yeah. And at first the electrician was just gonna put boxes in and tie it in. But we know from doing short-term rentals there's not many insurance companies that allow you to do short-term rentals without voiding your policy. And most of those companies do not allow there to be any active knob and tube. So all of that is coming out. Yeah. Here's another bedroom. Not a lot to show in here, but we're excited for you to see it in a couple months.
Once it's furnished.
We think we'll have it furnished and rented by December.
That's our goal. Our goal was initially November, but you know what?
Well, we got a killer deal on windows.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of going to delay us a little bit, but why we call it a killer deal is there were options like 0% financing. We ended up taking, we got a loan for 6% from the window company. So since we're holding it, we're like, yep, we like to leverage money, especially if it's someone else's money. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. Here's the bathroom.
Keeping the cool food.
So we had, bad water pressure. There were a lot of old pipes. So all of that's been updated now. I call this the not fun stuff because I like the design and decorating. But now that sheetrock is ready to go up, it's going to get a lot more fun. This claw tub we're keeping, but we're going to paint the outside like a charcoal gray and then redo the inside. So I think this is going to look a lot different next time you guys see it. So should we wander back outside?
Yeah.
Now, Anna, on that claw bathtub, are you going to resurface it?
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to resurface the bathtub.
Yeah. Part of so if we would have taken the tub out, it would have been a huge expense to get the plumbing up there correctly versus keeping the tub. But even little things like this is not tempered glass. And so the city requires this to be tempered glass because if you fell coming down the stairs, right, that's dangerous. So there's a lot to know about code. And the more you work within one city or certain region, you know a lot more about code.
Well, that's another reason. There's so many reasons why our classes are incredible. But see, that kind of stuff is covered in our classes. These are things that most people wouldn't think of, but it is different from city to city, but that's kind of a general thing no matter where you're at. If the window is so many feet from the floor and it's in a walking area, it pretty much no matter, it's the IBF code, it's going to be required to be tempered. So, but again, those are great things that's covered in our classes that I absolutely love.
So any other questions? We're headed on up to the outside, so Brooke can keep walking.
Yep. Yeah, we got a couple more. Do you want to grab those, Scott?
I am actually back in my truck driving right now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Keith.
Yep. So another question came in. I'm just looking at it. They're asking about short-term rentals and what percentage would you use for like vacancy rate?
Vacancy rate percentage?
Oh, for short-term rental?
Depends
Yeah.
on
Yeah, there's so much to talk about with short-term rental. We will dive into that. We have two other ones in the neighboring city. Those gross like 70K a year. We're expecting this to. I have a whole spreadsheet. I share it with people in the community.
Oh, we're starting to lose your signal a little bit.
What's that?
We're starting to lose your signal a little bit.
Okay, let me turn the Wi-Fi off. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, so we always, for people in the community, I'm happy to share my spreadsheet, but the next property tour, we can go over that. I always think about 70% occupancy overall.
Awesome. Another question comes in. Let me see. I guess I'm going to try to summarize it just real quick.
I could go over numbers quick and then
we can go over numbers because I think this is going to help because they're asking about numbers and renovations. But a lot of questions are really coming into, are you thinking about like short-term rentals, mid-term rentals? I guess people really want to know is like, what were your strategies when you first looked at this property?
Yeah, so looking at our business, we have decent cash flow in our business because of the resort we own and then our other businesses. So our main goal for this year was to get a property that allows us to have depreciation. But then long term, this is our retirement plan. So we want the appreciation. Cash flow is also great. And so that's how we decided to hold on to it versus fixing and flipping it. A couple years ago, we probably would have flipped it. And then as far as long-term rental versus short-term rental, there's not a right or wrong answer. It's what you enjoy doing, what your business needs, what area you are in. We have, this will be our 12th short-term rental. We know the industry well. We've been successful in it, I think, because of the classes and our network. So that's why we're going to do a short-term rental for this property. Does that answer? But let's do another tour in, like a month or so when we have it set up, and we can do a lot more on the short-term rental aspect of it.
Yeah, I agree. And because we're getting short on time, and I know y'all got some other events too. So we want to.
Yeah.
So if you go ahead and share your numbers, and then I thank you for back again.
Yeah. So the purchase price for this was $285. And then we did a $5,000 finder's fee. After repair value is $650,000. Let me see if I can share my screen. So how do we come up with what is the house going to be worth after we fix it up? That's called the after repair value. And that's by looking at similar houses in the area, what they have sold for. So the house down, 2 doors down, just sold for $700,000. It is same size, except it has a 2-car garage. So if we were going to flip this house, we would be adding a garage, but we don't want a garage for short-term rental necessarily. So, let's see. Can you see the numbers here? You can see those?
Yes, I can see your numbers.
Okay, so after repair value is $650, purchased it with the finder's fee for $290. We're putting $135,000 into it, so our projected equity is $225,000. And what do we do with that equity? We usually access it, by doing a HELOC or cash out refi is another option. We purchased this with a private lender that we met through the community, and we have a 30-year loan on it with that private lender. So we're very happy with the loan we have, but there are ways we can in the future. The rehab, we had a gap between she funded a lot, the purchase plus a lot of the rehab, but we still had a gap. And that gap we have funded using business credit. And then we have a HELOC on another property. So that's kind of our funding situation. I'll share more about short-term rental next property tour, but you can see like buying this at $285, putting money into it, we still have equity. So when we are buying, we like to buy houses that we have built-in equity that we can then leverage to buy more properties.
Awesome. Well, I know we're getting short on time. I just want to remind everybody that there is a meeting right after this. If you want to learn how, to get started, if you understand how to navigate and pivot as they done and to be able to analyze numbers, to how to get started, take that action. Just contact the person who invited you to this meeting and they'll get you to the other meeting. If it's not today, maybe it's another meeting, but take action. So thank you for your time. We're getting really, really short, and I want to, honor that time commitment that we had with each other.
Yeah.
So I think we answered majority of the questions in the chat. If not, you said y'all come back, and we appreciate that to go ahead and get that started. So we always like to, tell people, this is awesome, but what are some of the golden nuggets that you want to drop at the very end as we about to depart?
Yeah, so I start talking about what held me back was my mindset, and specifically my money mindset. And so how did we get started with $1,000, right? It was by gaining knowledge. And so that knowledge has helped us learn how to buy properties discounted using other people's money. And so don't underestimate what's possible, right? When you have the right network and knowledge. The last thing I'll leave you with, and I know there's several community members on here, but one thing I always say is dig your well before you're thirsty. So start building personal credit, build your business credit. And when you think your well is deep enough, dig it deeper, right? We're using business credit on that, and we have different options. So we're going to use the option that has the least cost, right? So 0% for a year, right? Or use our business line of credit. And so when we go over budget or there's a month without good cash flow, it doesn't cut into our personal lives and create stress, because we're doing this for a better quality of life. So doing it in a smart way so that we're moving towards our goal. So, okay, I'm over time.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you. I wasn't sure if Roy wanted to say something, but anyway, thank y'all both for participating. Thank you for just being here. Thank you for allowing us to peek into your process of what you're actually doing right now. And so again, everybody, I just first want to say thank you to both of y'all. Scott, thank you. You also busy. This has been awesome. Next Saturday, we have another property tour. And then Roy said they're going to be back to show us the final touches of it and share some more information. So thank you for that. So stay tuned, and everybody have an awesome Saturday.
Thank you all. Great weekend.